So we are talking about the immune system. So when we say that the antigen or pathogen, they successfully cross the barriers and they enter the body and start to produce infection or start killing the cells. So your white blood cells can respond in two ways, or there are two different type of responses. One is by lymphocytes and other is by phagocytes. Okay. So what do these do? The lymphocytes, they produce antibodies in your body. These are the special chemicals which are basically proteins. These chemicals bind with antigen and they destroy it. Okay, the very like straight reaction. The second thing is sometime there are some type of cells which engulf those pathogens or which eat up those pathogens by surrounding them. Okay, engulf mean like there is a pathogen over here and the cell first surround it, okay, and then finally take it inside it, and with the help of enzymes it break it down. So we read already about enzyme, that enzymes are capable of doing some chemical reaction, so they chemically break down the antigen. Okay. Okay. Okay, then how do the antibodies work? Let's talk about the working of antibody, or how do they work. So the antibodies, they have a Y shape. Okay, usually a Y shape is there, and they are complementary to antigen. Now complementary mean they not in a sense that opposite, but they are able to be fit into each other. Complementary to antigen. Like for example, in DNA, we say the complementary of A is T and the complementary of C is G. That is their binding. Uh, the bond is formed between A and T, and the bond is formed between C and G. So similar meaning would be, it has a similar meaning that the antigen or antibodies would be in that way that they can chemically bond. Okay. So the meaning of complementary is the chemical bond, that they are able to form a chemical bond. Now, what would be the next step after the formation of that bond? So after that bond, the antibodies, they try to first they capture the antigen, they bond with antigen, and then they destroy them into smaller fragments. So these smaller fragments are then eaten by the phagocytes. Okay, these are eaten by phagocytes. Clear? So I'm again repeating that white blood cells, they show their response in two ways. One is through lymphocytes and one is through phagocytes. Phagocytes simply engulf the antigen, take it into their cell, and then destroy them with the help of some chemical action with the help of enzymes. While antibodies that are produced by lymphocytes are Y-shaped and they are complementary to the antigen. So they convert the antigen into the smaller fragment that are eaten up by the phagocytes. Okay, but before this, what are antigens? Yeah, antigens. Okay, antigen is the disease-causing part of pathogen. Okay, what is pathogen? Pathogen is the disease-causing organism like bacteria, virus. These are pathogen. Okay, now whole bacteria is not capable of producing an infection. Only a certain part of bacteria can produce infection. Okay, and that certain part or a particular part is known as the antigen. So if we say if it's a pathogen, let's say it's a pathogen, so there are small areas of these pathogens which are called as antigens, and these antigens are like there to produce some change in the body. Okay. Okay. uh Okay, we are done with. Okay. Then we learned about different type of lymphocytes. That lymphocytes have two major types. One is the B lymphocyte and other one is the T lymphocyte. So it depends on where they are producing, like the bone marrow or sorry, or the thymus. Okay. Now the B lymphocytes are more active, you can say, or they are more like or they directly attack the antigen. They are more powerful. But if we talk about T lymphocytes, there are further two types of T lymphocytes. One are the killers one, which are able to kill the antigens, and one is the helpers one. The helpers one won't directly kill, but they help B cells to kill the organism by providing them a good bonding with antigen. They help in the bonding of that antigen with the antibody. Okay, okay. So this is the part which we already have discussed. Let's move to some important parts. Okay. Um, there are two type of, you can say, immunity. One is the innate immunity and one is the adaptive immunity. Let's talk about the two types. And then we talk about the active immunity and the other immunity, the passive immunity as well. Okay. Innate means it's a passive immunity. Let's say the infant or the baby get the immunity from their mother, right? Passive mean it is not produced by your body, but you're getting it from someone else. So children, they do not have a well developed immune system. They get the immunity from their mother. Okay. So when they are in the body of the mother, the antigens pass, sorry, the antibodies passes through the placenta to the baby. Okay. The other is, let's say, first discuss the active and passive. The active immunity. Okay, active immunity is the one which is triggered by the antigen, and it directly activates or produces the antibodies. Okay, for example, I'm giving you an example. Uh, do you have any idea about the COVID? Okay, let's take an example of COVID for both active and passive. There are some people whose immune system was or more developed as compared to the other. So when the coronavirus entered their body starts to make the antibodies. Or okay, it takes some time for the antibody or for the lymphocyte to prepare a correct antibody. It takes some days. So, yes, their system was quite active. It took some time to recognize the antigen and produce a perfect antibody for that. Now, the body is doing some work. The body is producing its own antibodies. Okay? This one is known as active immunity when your body is doing work. Okay? The other form is when you take some kind of vaccination. Now, this vaccination, after a year, I guess the scientists were able to uh, make or design a vaccination, and this vaccination contains the weak cells or weak pathogens or the dead pathogens, which are not capable of producing the very harsh effect of the disease, but it would trigger your lymphocytes to produce the antibody. Okay, so your body would produce antibody by itself, and it results in the formation of memory cells. Now, why these are very important? These memory cells, for example, you have 50, let's say 50 cells. 40 were fighting against the pathogen, they combine with pathogen and get destroyed because of bonding. I've told you that during bonding, the bonding would break. Definitely antibody and antigen both get destroyed. Okay? Now the remaining 10 cells, they don't get in that fight. They stay there in the blood. Okay? So those are called as memory cells. The 10 remaining which do not directly attached with the antigen. Okay, it's beneficial. So whenever next time that specific antigen, pathogen or antigen enter into the body, your body will be able to fight against it because your body already has memory cells. Okay, in case of passive, now there was one treatment given at that time, which is plasma treatment. In COVID, the very first treatment that people find out was the plasma transfer, plasma transfusion. Now, what is plasma transfusion? Okay, you have a as in active immunity, some people have a better immunity. They develop their own antibodies. Now, those antibodies are taken from a healthy or the stronger person and then put into the person who has a weaker immune system. Antibodies from others. Now, the body itself is not making antibody, but it's getting from some other source. Okay? Are you getting this? The antibody. The stronger person would give its antibody to the weaker one. This is passive immunity. Now, the person with weaker immunity is that immune system is not working, right? It's not active. It's not working, but still it's getting antibodies from us. Similarly, the children or the babies get the passive immunity from their mother. Okay, this is the first like line of defense, and even in babies, they are not capable of producing that thing, but they are getting it from their mother. Okay, then another type of immunity is the innate and the acquired. Okay, if I give you a simple difference, innate means it's present in there just because of your mother. Okay, the mother has transferred the antibodies to the baby, and that is a general thing. It's a general, you can say, immunity. It's not against that specific antigen. You know it very well that the infants need to get some kind of vaccination after their birth, right? Right. So, if it's non-specific, it's a general immunity that the children are getting, that is innate. But acquired is the one, once the children or you or the normal person or the human being get like comes in direct contact with that antigen, so it would be antigen specific, like Vibro cholera. This is the direct contact with the pathogen. So Vibro cholera is capable of producing cholera. Cholera is that diarrhea related disease. It's a stomach infection, or not a stomach infection, but the digestive system infection. Okay, so it means it's a acquired immunity. You get this immunity because some pathogen entered in your body, some specific pathogen entered into your body. Okay, so if it is specific to the antigen, it is the adaptive immunity, or oh, I have written acquired. I need to write adaptive. Acquired is a word we use from this passive, sorry. And innate is the one which is the non-specific one. It's not like antigen specific. Okay. There is another type of immunity which we have already discussed. One is the humoral and the second is cell mediated. It's simple. So we have discussed it already that there's B lymphocytes and then there are T lymphocytes. Humoral, and the second one was cell mediated. Okay, if I simply say this one, then humoral immunity is because of the antibodies that is produced by B lymphocytes, let's say. Okay, the lymphocytes are involved in humoral one. Second is the cell mediated. Now you have T cells, right? T helper cells and T killer cells. So these cells are involved in this cell mediated immunity, that some other cell, not directly B lymphocyte, but some other cells are targeting your antigens, like the killer T cells or the helper T cells. Okay. In humoral immunity, the antibodies they get, it's a B lymphocyte basically. Let's say it's a B lymphocyte which produces antibody. Okay. Okay. How does it get attached? Let me give you a diagram. I'm giving you a simple diagram for this one. Okay. So these are yellow parts are the antigens. As I've told you that not the whole pathogen is able to produce disease, but it's smaller parts. Okay. To this smaller parts, the Y-shaped uh, antibody gets attached to. When it gets attached to it, it destroys it. Okay. And what are the memory cells? Those cells which do not react directly with the antigen but stay there in the blood. Okay. 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 This is a simple one. Okay. The next one is the cell mediated one, which means the T cells, or how T cells help B cells to kill it, to kill the pathogen. Okay. So T cells can, as we have discussed, there are two type of T cells. One are the killer cells and one are the uh, helper cells. So helper cells, these get attached to the B lymphocytes and help them to destroy the pathogen. Okay. So it's written that T cells are mobilized and they move to the B cell and then they get attached to B cell. So this is the B cell, they get attached to B cell. Okay, and then they help the B cell to kill the pathogen. Okay. They have given you a very specific name for T cells, which is written cytotoxic cell as well. If you like want to go into the detail, I can tell, but I guess this is enough. Okay, there is one more thing. There's like so many processes in the human body. Uh, okay, let's not discuss it. We'll discuss it later in the reproduction part or the